Aloha and good morning and happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I'm going to do something a little bit different this morning, and it's a little bit difficult for me as well. And I'll explain why in just a minute. But I'm going to read an excerpt out of a book that I've had for many, many years. And this is a book that many of you may know and may have and may or may not have read, but I've read this book many times. And I just started reading this book the other day, about a week ago. I just picked it up and started reading it. And I found something in this book that I never saw before as many times as I've read this book. And you can see in this book, I'm going to show you a couple pages. I've got lots of highlighted in various colors, even because I've read it so many different times. And every time I have a different highlighter that I've highlighted parts of this book that I found important at the time that I was reading the book. And as you go through life, as I go through life, certain things are more important to me than others. So that's what catches my eye, and that's what I pay attention to. And to give you an idea of how long I've had this book, I used to be a distributor for Amway for 3 years, and that was a long time ago. Actually, I was with Amway for 5 years, and great experience. Made no money with that because I was in it for the wrong reason, quite frankly. And this isn't about business or network marketing. I'm just pointing that out, how long I've had this book. But so I was reading this book and I came across this poem that really caught my eye, and it's exactly appropriate for today, for Father's Day. So I'm going to attempt to read this poem. And it's hard for me for two reasons. One, because I'm dyslexic and I have a hard time reading out loud. And I get my words mixed up. And when I'm reading to myself, it's okay. I understand what I'm saying and I understand what I'm reading. But when I'm reading out loud, it's kind of difficult for me. So that was difficult for me in school, as a matter of fact. The other reason is because this is an emotional poem. And I'm an emotional person, and I'm okay with that. So I'm going to get through this poem, and I'm going to read this to you, and I'm going to read this for you fathers and for the mothers out there, because this will be appropriate for mothers and fathers. But it's Father's Day, so this goes out to you. And of course, I have to put these on in order to read it. So I hope I can speak loud enough so you can hear this poem. And I put it in the description of the video as well, so you can go and read it, but you can look it up as well. The book, by the way, is How to Win Friends and Influence People. Very good book. I think the title is a little bit deceiving because it's really about just learning how to get along with people and how to really get along with yourself and get along with people. But I'm not going to get into that. We're ready for the poem, all right? So, Father Forgets by W. Livingston Larned. I can't pronounce his name, Larned. Here we go. Listen, son, I'm saying this as you lie asleep. One little paw crumbled under your cheek, and the blonde curls stickily wet to your damp forehead. I have stolen into your room alone. Just a few minutes ago, as I sat reading my paper in the library, a stifling wave of remorse swept over me. Guilty, I came to your bedside. There are things I was thinking, son. I had been cross to you. I scolded you as you were dressing for school because you gave your face merely a dab with a towel. I took you to task for not cleaning your shoes. I called out angrily when you threw some things on the floor. At breakfast, I found fault too. You spilled things. You gulped down your food. You pulled your elbows on the table. Put your elbows on the table. See, that's that dyslexia. Sorry about that. You spread butter too thick on your bread. And as you started off to play, I made for my train. You turned and waved a hand and called, "Goodbye, Daddy." And I frowned and said in a reply, "Hold your shoulders back." Then it began all over again in the late afternoon. As I came up the road, I spied you down on your knees playing marbles. There were holes in your stockings. I humiliated you before your boyfriends by marching you in front of me all the way to the house. Stockings were expensive, and if you had to buy them, you would be more careful Imagine that, son, from a father. Do you remember later, when I was reading in the library, how you came in timidly with a sort of hurt look in your eyes? When I glanced up over my paper, impatiently at the interruption, you hesitated at the door. What is it you want? I snapped. You said nothing. You ran across in one tempestuous plunge and threw your arms around my neck and kissed me. And your small arms tightened with an affection that God had set blooming in your heart, and which even neglect could not wither. And then you were gone, pattering up the stairs. Well, son, it is shortly afterwards, when my paper slipped from my hands, and I trembled sickeningly with fear, came over me. What has habit been doing to me? The habit of finding fault, of reprimanding. This was my reward to you for being a boy. It was not that I did not love you. It was that I expect too much from youth. I was measuring you by the yardstick of my own years. And there was so much that was good and fine and true in your character. The little heart of you was being as the dawn itself over the wide hills. This was shown by your spontaneous impulse to rush in and kiss me goodnight. Nothing else matters tonight, son. I have come to your bedside in the darkness, and I have knelt there ashamed. It is a feeble atonement. I know you would not understand these things if I told you during your waking hours. But tomorrow, I will be a real daddy. I will chum with you and suffer when you suffer and laugh when you laugh. I will bite my tongue when impatient words come. I will keep saying, as if it were a ritual, he is nothing but a boy, a little boy. I am afraid I had visualized you as a man. Yet as I see you now, son, crumpled and weary in your cot, I see that you are still a baby. Yesterday, you were in your mother's arms, your head in her shoulder. I have asked too much, too much. So, I made it through it. That goes out to my boys, Dylan, who's 21 now in basic training, my 15-year-old teenager who is full-fledged teenager, and my 5-year-old little guy. Now, I've spent much more time with my little guy, Dalton, than the other two because of, 25 years in the service. And I really see him in this because I grew up with him. He grew up with me. And that poem is really touching in that I was that way definitely with the other two boys too. So anyway, I hope I hope you guys get a chance to find this poem and read it yourself. And I know all of us get cross sometimes with our little guys. We have so much going on. We have so much to do. We're doing what we can to care for our family and do what we feel we need to do. But don't forget, it's all for them. And don't forget, it's for those beautiful ladies that you have by your side as well. Happy Father's Day, and have a beautiful and wonderful day. Bye.